I remember like recalling using my nose to do something on my Apple Watch, or like
I've done that.
Like
Really?
answering a call, like someone's calling me, I have something in my hand, or I'm doing something, and then using my nose to actually answer a call. So imagine just being able to do this to answer the call now.
Right.
So,
Or use your tongue. Just do what you can.
I never
do what you can.
I never use the tongue to answer.
You guys are getting pretty wild.
Yeah. So
what did you guys think yesterday? Apple event.
Okay, I mean, it was just like I expected it to be. It was like a lot of excitement. I know people were just waiting. Tim came out, people got that energy going, so that was cool. But yeah, there was some things that were expected and not expected. I mean, what about you?
Yeah, you mentioned Tim coming out. People at home don't see that actually.
That's true.
So that's just a little treat for us here at Apple Park. We get the hello, we get the good morning with the clapping and the uproar, and then when you're watching at home, you get this more subdued good morning. And one thing that's interesting, aside from all the announcements, is that when we are seeing the announcements and hearing stuff, and we're hearing the applause happen. So they announce something, the applause happens, and it's like exciting, right? But when you're at home, you hear none of that. You just hear, like, I went back to the Vision Pro when I watched it, and he's like, we have one more thing. And it was like so different when he says we have one more thing, and it's just silence.
Yeah.
Whereas when we were there, you hear everybody like getting super hyped up. So, but as far as the event went, I think there were more things that surprised me than that were just things I expected to see.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah, so it wasn't very...
Wait, last time we were on the Mac Rumors podcast.
I know what you're going to say, yeah.
Okay, and you said you don't follow these things.
I don't follow rumor because I want to be surprised when I go.
Right.
I don't want to go with expectations or anything. So it wasn't very product heavy, but I did like the changes and the things that were announced, right? So Apple Watch, year over year they make a new Apple Watch.
Yep.
I didn't expect the gesture control. I'm not sure if that was something that was going to be rumored or anything, but that was like really cool. And I was thinking about ways I would use that on my Apple Watch, right? I was thinking about ways I could implement that into everyday life. Because there's been many times where I was doing something. I remember like recalling using my nose to do something on my Apple Watch, or like
I've done that.
Like
Really?
answering a call. Like someone's calling me, I have something in my hand, or I'm doing something, and then using my nose to actually answer a call. So imagine just being able to do this to answer the call now.
Right.
So,
or use your tongue. Just do what you can.
do what you can. I never use the tongue to answer.
You guys are getting pretty wild.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, I was happy about that. I was happy with obviously the new iPhone Pro.
Yep.
I was enjoying the action button. It's the first change for a very long time. Wasn't the mute switch or the mute toggle there from the original iPhone?
Yeah, from the original.
So like, I mean,
first time ever.
So that is the first time that has changed,
yes.
right? So the very first time it's changed. So, things like that it's really hard to change everything year over year, but new materials, new camera system, new button, USB-C. I mean, what is there more that you could ask for, right?
Got a lot.
So I was very happy.
Okay, yeah. Let's jump into some of these announcements. So first was the video, the opening video,
right,
where we got a look at how Apple's different technologies end up basically for lack of a better term, they're saving lives, right? Whether it's rescuing people who are stranded somewhere, or alerting people to a potential heart issue with their Apple Watch. For me, I always love seeing those. I know it's kind of controversial because some people think Apple is using the fact that these products can save lives as a selling like for sales. But why wouldn't you?
Of course.
Like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that these are things that you don't think about when you're getting into a car crash. You're not thinking about that. It just happens, right? And then these services and these features are built for that.
Yeah,
to save your life. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I have an elderly father, and through his insurance, they actually got him an Apple Watch, and it sends like health reports to his doctor. So. And they look at his graphs when he comes to the doctor's office. They look at his graphs, how it's been for the past month. Instead of just like recording it right then and there, they have like a month like running log of it. And so seeing that, and then me having access to his data and health data, and when he goes to the doctors, I can bring the reports up and stuff like that, and I don't have to hear it from him, and stuff like that. Just is like. Yeah, like I totally get it, because at first a long time ago when they're announcing all this health stuff, I'm like, man, this is kind of like all this health stuff. But then it impacts me. So it's one of those things where it's like, wow, I totally get it now. Like it gives me a peace of mind to know like what's happening when Dad goes to the doctor.
Yeah, I wonder what age these things start applying to you, because I'm sure there's people out there that are, I don't know, I'm just picking a random number. You're 23 years old.
Yeah.
And you're seeing all these features announced, and you're like, I don't care.
That was me.
I don't need I don't need to watch my heart rate.
That was literally me. Yeah,
right?
that was me. Yeah.
But there's a certain age where you hit where it's like, oh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Right. And then the fall detection. Right. Then there's another. I'm not steady on my feet anymore. I need that.
Yeah.
But medical conditions go for all ages.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
Before I used to do tech, I used to be an ER nurse. So like you can see a lot of people. Some people you think, oh, there's no way that this 15-year-old can have the same ailment that an 80-year-old has. But sometimes you have like congenital heart stuff. And even my wife has SVT. So like she'll get rapid heart rates all the time, and then she has her Apple Watch and she just takes that 2-lead EKG real quick, and she's like, oh my god, I'm at like 150,
so it's
like it's she
legitimate
uses it
help.
Yeah, I mean it's a cool tool to have if you have those kind of
right
emergency calls and things you might need to make. So yeah, it's always there on your wrist. So I think it's kind of underrated.
I agree. Let's talk about Apple Watch. That was the first hardware announcement we got yesterday. And so for the first time in, I believe, it was Series 6. Series 6 got a pretty substantial processor boost. And then 7 and 8, they had different chips, but they were like the same speed. So if they add anything to the chip, whether it's, it's a more sensitive motion tracker or anything like that, it's a new series of chip. But it doesn't mean the actual CPU has changed.
Yeah.
So the CPU hasn't changed since for 3 generations. So now we're getting a newer CPU, faster, twice as fast neural engine. And that neural engine is what's allowing for what seems to be, based on conversations I've had with people, the most exciting feature of the day, which was the double tap.
Yeah, people are really
on the
liking
Apple
that.
Watch.
Yeah.
So did you guys try that?
I did. I thought it was really cool. There's a little bit of controversy, though, because I think people were saying that in accessibility, you were able to do something very similar before in the past watches. So that's a lot of questions that I saw, is like, why wouldn't it come to the other Apple Watches?
Okay.
So I thought that was pretty interesting. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yes. Actually, I don't just have thoughts. I have an answer.
Oh.
I have an answer on that one. So, as you mentioned, there is the accessibility features, and I don't remember what all those gestures were. But all of those gestures run on the main CPU, and the way that they're detected is different. And so since the double tap is more of a core feature that's going to be put into like any app, or at least all the first party apps, and then developers can add it to their notifications. That's running on the neural engine. And the twice as fast neural engine is what's being used in this generation for that specific gesture, for the double tap gesture. And I assume any other future gestures that we might see will be running there as well. So it's just where it's processed is different, and the method that the accessibility stuff is processed is different than this. I don't know why it's different. My assumption, and this is just my assumption, is when you have accessibility features, you kind of want if I double tap and it doesn't work the first time, maybe I'm just a little bit frustrated, right? Whatever, I just do it again. But if I have a need that this gesture, I rely on it, I want that to work every time, right? So that's just my assumption. Maybe it's running on the main CPU instead of the neural engine, so that it has more power allotted to those things, so that for people who really need them to work at all times. But again, that part is just my speculation.
Okay. I like that. It's I feel like it's more of an extension of accessibility.
Yeah.
Because I think it's good for us to use, but I think it takes accessibility to the next level.
Yes.
You tried double tap?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I enjoyed the pacing of it, because a lot of people were like going too fast, or it's like a smooth pacing. It's just it's very, very smooth with it. But for me, I always think about how I could use something, right? And like how the apps that I use on my Apple Watch every day, like how would that really come into play? Like if I'm listening to music and just pause the music really quick, or anything like that. So I think it's cool. Any way I can access something differently, I'm always down for it. And like I said before, the whole concept of using my nose to answer a call, and now just to answer a call, because I answer a lot of calls on my watch, like more than
really.
Yeah, because I put my phone down a lot. I don't know where I'm at in the house, or my son has my phone, whatever happens. So I'm like literally having full conversations on my watch often.
AirPods are just
on the watch, just kind of like hanging out with Dick Tracy, like whispering, like whispering things. Yeah, I don't know.
Why are you whispering?
I don't know. The whole thing, like you talking to your cufflink about. Yeah, it's that whole concept. I don't know. I just end up talking on the watch a lot. Sometimes I take the watch off and just set it next to me, and I'm like on my laptop.
No, you're
and
not.
I promise.
That
promise
works.
To you. It does work pretty well, actually.
I thought once you take your watch off, it's like you're not authenticated anymore.
It still works. Like if I'm currently on a phone call, yes, I could take it off mid-call.
Take it off mid-call.
Mid-call.
Just hang it up.
Just hanging over something, yeah.
Software patch coming.
Yeah.
Danny, you use your watch for calls?
Not really, no.
Man.
Because I can't have, I'm that person that doesn't like speakerphone calls in public and stuff like that. I can't do it.
I'm at
I don't
home,
know about
though.
you guys.
I'm at home.
Wait,
But that's true at home. But,
Let me go back to Apple Watch, though. So, just in general, what do you generally find yourself using your Apple Watch for, aside from phone calls? Like, do you use it to the max ability? Like, I find that it's like tracking health stuff in the background, right?
Yeah,
just in the background. If I'm actively doing some sort of workout or going for a walk or whatever, I will turn that on, and I look for my notifications. But I'm not like. I feel like there's a lot of features that I could be using that I almost forget.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just take out my phone to do something when I could have done it on my watch.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of it, though. There's so much technology baked into all these products that every person has a different niche for it, right? Like for me, the Apple Watch is the best golfing watch available. I have a Garmin that's a $700 Garmin watch, and compared to the Apple Watch is still a better golfing watch than the Garmin.
The Garmin is a golfing watch.
It's made for golfing. It has like some health stuff kind of baked in and stuff like that, but it's actually designed for golfing. It's a golfing watch, but the Apple Watch is better than the Garmin golfing watch.
How so?
The display is larger. The display is bigger. Battery life isn't as good, but you also can use different apps. The Garmin, you're stuck to the Garmin app, right? You're stuck to their app. Apple Watch has 5 different golfing apps. And there's actually an app that uses the accelerometer to, like, I don't want to get too nerdy on golf, but
just go, please,
all about wrist angles, right? There's an app that you can practice your golf swing, and it tells you your wrist angles. And when your wrist goes in the wrong position, it buzzes. So it teaches you how to do a proper swing right on your own wrist. Like tempo training, like you want to swing at a certain speed, or you want to slow down, or you're too fast. The watch will tell you how fast you're moving and all those things. So it would literally draw a diagram of your actual swing. And that's an app you just buy for your Apple Watch. So that right there makes me just use an Apple Watch for golf all the time. But same thing for working out. Mm-hmm. Whatever. I do like a workout class, and just having the stats compared to the stats that they provide in a workout class, and they're like 1-to-1. So I have like their wrist, their armband on there. I have an Apple Watch right here, and it's giving me the exact same stats, calories burned, and everything like that. So I think it's really cool. And then I've done one hike before. And I noticed how the Apple Watch adjusted to that because I was doing a hike. Like, it had like the breadcrumbs of where I went, elevation changes, and things like that. So I don't know. Like, I think as I explore different types of workouts and different types of things, the Apple Watch usually has something for that at this point, which I think is really cool.
Yes. The other thing I use my Apple Watch a lot for is finding my phone. Where'd I put my phone?
Yes.
Where'd my phone?
Yes,
right?
For sure.
And they added something new. So yesterday they announced when you ping your phone, it will also, on the new Series 9 and Ultra 2, bring you into the Find My experience. So I actually thought that was a different, like, do I want Find My, or do I just want to make no, you make the noise, it'll automatically direct you towards your phone. You need to have a Series 9 or Ultra 2 and an iPhone 15.
Right, because it's the ultra wideband chip. Yeah.
The second gen, wider ultra wideband. I don't think it works in reverse. So
find your watch.
Yeah, there's no Find Your Watch.
That'd be nice.
You can find your watch in the Find My app, but not with the precision.
Yeah, with the precision. Yeah, that's the big one. Yeah.
And then there was I think that was it for the Series 9, right? It was mostly the double tap, faster processor.
Yeah.
Like Siri on,
Siri on device, which is actually nice.
I think that's a big one too.
That's a great one.
Can't forget that.
Yeah, because it's not gonna. So anything that has to go through the internet is still gonna have some sort of latency. Like I was originally thinking, because I use Siri for the smart home, like I can just talk to Siri and then instant. But it's still gonna have to hop to the internet to process that because it's a smart home. But if you're asking for anything that doesn't involve an internet request, it's just instant now, which is great, which is nice, especially for anything that has to do with like dictating. So you're dictating a text message or anything like that. It uses large language model now, so similar to like the AI, ChatGPT kind of stuff. They have that built in, and where they just based on what you're saying, they kind of know what you are likely saying next, match that with what you actually say, and then figure out how to like have a really precise transcript of what you just said, which is cool. Okay, so then there was the Apple Watch Ultra 2. You wear the Ultra.
Yeah.
What do you have, Danny? What do you got?
I usually wear the Ultra, but I'm kind of the anti, like, I guess I like smartwatches, but then I love it when I take it off. It's a weird thing, man.
I like smartwatches.
I understand exactly.
But I love
you know what I
taking it
mean,
off.
though, because it's like I get a lot of double notifications and things that I don't want on the watch. Now I use it strictly for fitness. That I like a lot, but yeah, if my watch of choice is definitely the Ultra, because just strictly on the screen size and battery life, because the battery life is great, and it's like all the other watches, including other Apple watches, I've struggled charging it every single day because sometimes I just forget. But I like that I can get at least a guaranteed 2-day battery life out of it.
And
so
we talk about battery life and kind of go back to the golf example, right? So up until the Ultra, I couldn't track a whole round of golf. Well, I could, but I had to charge the watch in the car. So like 100%. Now I'm playing golf, and then by the time I'm done playing, it's like at 5%. Now I can do a whole round, and I'm still like at 45, 50, 60%.
Wait, how long is a? Just for context.
Yeah, it's about 4 hours, but it's constantly tracking everything. It's tracking your location, your distance, your walking, and your heart rate, because it tracks it as a workout too. So it's kind of it's tracking, like all the sensors are firing off at the same time, right? So it's very taxing on the battery. And the Ultra is the only watch that you can literally play around in golf without even thinking about charging it ahead of time or anything like that. And just the peace of mind, because I used to just have to plug it in the car, and then when I'm about to play, unplug it, put it on, and then plug it in when I'm done, type of thing. And sometimes it would die mid-round. So now I can get everything without thinking about it. So the Ultra, when you talk about battery life, especially, we travel a lot too, and not have to really worry about, man, make sure I dock it every single night. Just know that it's there, and then you put it in a low power mode and get even more time with it if you need to.
Right.
Do you think that 3000 nit display, which was new on this one, do you think that's going to help you in golf, though? Do you ever have a problem with your current Ultra now?
No, not
seeing it in bright daylight.
No, I've never ran into an issue with it like that. Because everything I need to see is just really big numbers. So maybe if it's like small or fine details, but typically it just has like the distance of where I am and nothing real fine details. So I don't have a problem with that today.
Still crazy though as a spec.
3,000 nits is
that's
incredible.
Wild,
I can't even figure out how bright that is. Like in my head, you say something 3,000 nits. I don't know what that looks like.
Right. No, there's a reason, because I don't know what displays
I don't think there's any other watch out there.
Like our TVs, which are here, are usually like 1,000 nits is amazing for HDR TV.
Yeah.
The iPhone 2500, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah. I don't think anything really hits that.
Yeah,
but I mean, obviously that's peak brightness.
Right. Peak brightness on HDR. So, yeah, this is going to be like when you're out in direct sunlight, for like direct sunlight, right?
Yeah.
Which I guess when you golf, direct sunlight is not what you want to golf in, right? That sounds terrible.
It happens, but like I said, it's very glanceable. It's just glanceable. I'm not looking at something, but I would imagine if you're like in Arizona on a trail, it's going to look a lot different than me golfing in Michigan, right? I'm sure there's different level of
Bermuda grass and everything out there.
Yeah, Andrew's a grass expert now. I taught him all about the grass.
He did. I know how to just touch the grass.
With grain, against grain, all that stuff.
I know all about that.
But once again, like, even if you don't need the spec, knowing the spec is there just in case that one time you need it is good. So it's like 3,000 nits, fine. Like, that's good. Maybe I'll never use it, but the one time I need it, I'll say, I can see my watch. But I like specs that are out of the way, like something you don't have to consider. It's there helping you along the way. You don't have to think about, like, wow, this 3,000 nit screen really kicked in right now. Like that.
Right.
That's not how I walk around talking. So
right, and that's Apple's thing, right? Is the specs are in there, but it's not there to just be a spec, right? It's there to help you when you need it. Like you said, you can't turn the brightness up to 3,000 and say, look at my 3,000 nits, right? It's like when you need it, it'll do it. When you don't need it, it's not going to do it.
On the opposite end of that, though, now it goes down to 1 nit as well.
That's nice.
Yeah, so like in dark conditions, it went from 2 to 1. So now you're gonna be able to save battery life when you.
Okay.
So that's that.
I misheard that.
Yeah.
I misheard. I thought they were talking about, for some reason, like the refresh rate goes down to 1. I thought they were talking about 1 hertz,
No,
like
1
the
nit.
phone.
Oh yeah, it's
I was
1
like,
nit now.
but it goes down to 1
Yeah.
nit.
So that's good.
Okay. Okay.
I'm all about that. These are little things that always add up to big.
Yep. Speaking of which, little things that add up to big ones. Let's transition over AirPods.
They didn't really talk about this at all. It
No,
was
they
like
did
one
not.
Of those
Not
things
too
that
much.
Just didn't get mentioned. Yeah.
They just a little. They touched on it because there's the new USB-C case, right?
Yep.
Now, Kevin, you said you don't follow the rumors. Do you follow rumors?
It's almost impossible not to. That's what I was going to
Yeah.
ask you. It's like I just still see it through my.
I don't know how you avoid it.
I just I just scroll like that.
How does that feature work?
You just scroll away like that.
So we have these new AirPods, right? USB-C case. Now, previously, Apple had AirPods Pro and regular AirPods before, and then they released a new case, which was a MagSafe case, right? So same AirPods, new case, and anyone that bought AirPods from then on would get the new case, and anyone who wanted the new case could just buy the case and put their old AirPods in it, right? And that's kind of what the rumor mill kind of expected here. We weren't going to get AirPods Pro 3.
Yeah.
We were just going to get a new case. Well, apparently, that's not completely accurate. These AirPods have a new case, but the actual physical AirPods are redesigned a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought it was software stuff.
No. It is. They are redesigned slightly. So now they have water and dust resistance,
Okay.
whereas AirPods Pro 2 did not. They had one or the other, I forget, but the current ones have a water and dust rating. And secondly, only the ones that were announced yesterday will work with Apple Vision Pro as lossless wireless audio headphones.
Interesting. Okay.
So if you have the AirPods Pro 2 that came with the Lightning connector, they will still work with the Vision Pro, but not lossless audio. So Apple has re-engineered or added something with the antennas to allow for lossless audio, again, with Vision Pro only, so not with like your iPhone or anything else. So, but at the same time, they're still called AirPods Pro, second gen.
With USB-C?
Yeah, with USB-C.
Okay. So are they calling it with USB-C or is it?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell by looking at the case.
Right, and there were some software
Yeah.
features too, right? Some new ones. I think there's, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's adaptive transparency mode now, right?
Yeah. So those software features are just part of iOS 17
Okay.
for AirPods Pro Gen 2, both versions of Gen 2. See, that's why it's confusing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I
It
can
is,
see
yeah.
that.
There's
That's
two
confusing.
different versions of a Gen 2 product.
Are they pulling Gen 2 like off the shelf now, or just going for, or when you go to store and buy one, can you say I want USB-C, I want Lightning, or is it just?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I would guess that it's just the USB-C version from now on.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
would
so they're
think
pulling-
Because they
would take that
actually
out.
pulled the battery pack, the MagSafe battery pack with Lightning. That's no longer for sale.
Really? Okay.
And there was one other thing. Oh, MagSafe Duo, no longer for sale. Because that's a Lightning product as well.
Yeah, I still have mine. I'm just like, I can't get rid of this Lightning cord just yet.
No, I mean, get something else. Get the Mophie.
Yeah,
Mophie has one and it does 3 instead of 2.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a little cheaper. But I guess they're trying to phase it out. I mean, there's still the Magic Mouse and the Magic Trackpad. Obviously, AirPods Max.
Yeah,
But
that'll be interesting.
they did eliminate.
Transition.
Yeah, this transition is going to be interesting to see. But that's AirPods. So same price. If this wasn't even, like you said, it wasn't announced yesterday. These are just like little tidbits that I still don't totally understand why. Like, if you have a new version of a product, usually you want people to know.
Yeah.
Vision Pro is coming early next year. If you want lossless audio, we have a brand new pair. Like, they didn't do that though. So it's like more on a DL.
Yeah, I think sustainability took a lot of time up. I think they have like a set time that they want to do the same.
Speaking of which, Mother Nature.
Yeah,
Mother Nature.
That was cool.
that was
What'd you think?
That was funny though. I have to say
That was great. Yeah.
it was a good approach. You got to see like Tim being funny and just like, I don't know, there was just a lot of stuff to it. I think it was really cleverly done. I mean, that's the one thing I always have to say about Apple's video team and this stuff that they produce is just incredible, man. And you just watch it and you get blown away. And I thought it was good, though. I thought it was a good segment.
Yeah. She's an amazing actress. I don't want to get her name wrong, unfortunately, because I have like 3 names in my head. I don't want to get it wrong, but she's an amazing actress. Every movie she's in, she does a great job, and I think
fantastic.
Yeah. I think the message behind it was great, and I think they were able to like rifle off some stats that otherwise could have been a little boring, to be honest.
Absolutely.
But rifle off stats in a funny way that we still got the message and entertained at the same time, and that's kind of the goal of anything. You want to entertain people and give a message so you walk away laughing but still informed.
Yeah.
I think they did a great job maximizing that.
Yeah, I almost felt in a way like we all make videos, right? And a lot of people who make videos about the niche that we're in really focus on specs, right? And that video, as I was watching it, I was like, this is really what it is. Like, they're giving us all the specs in a way that's entertaining. They're not just like, because they have in the past taken the stage and be like, let's talk sustainability, right? And then everybody on Twitter is like, this is the most boring part. What are they doing? Just get to the phone. And I didn't feel that at all when I was watching this. I was just like, a lot of times when I'm watching a piece of content, I'm always like trying to relate it back to like what we do. And I was like, there's something to be learned here. Like, how do we keep it? Anyone can watch that video yesterday. Anyone can watch that segment. They don't have to be interested in iPhones. They don't have to be interested in the environment. They don't have to be interested in sustainability. Anyone can watch that and walk away entertained. And that's how I want my stuff to be too. And so it was like a cool reminder.
I need to see your review like that, man.
I mean, it's a slow transition, slow change, right? Like it's hard to like. It's theorizing and it's planning like how to do it. Like it's not something you can just say, oh, I like that, and then like your next video is just boom, right? Because your old habits die hard and everything. But it's definitely something that kind of made me take notice
for sure
and say to myself like, how I watched that and didn't feel bored at all, but still got all the information. That's how I want to be able to present information.
It's tough, man. That's the never-ending battle.
Right, that is. That's the battle for all of us. All right, let's get to the start of the show. iPhones.
Yeah.
iPhones. iPhone 15. Now, we're all iPhone users. We all carry around our iPhones. iPhone 15 gets the 48-megapixel camera. Not the exact same one that the 14 Pro had, but same resolution. And I thought that was a pretty big deal because they gave the 2X, which essentially, for the first time on a non-Pro iPhone, gives you 3 optical lenses.
Yep.
3 optical, what do you call it? Not lenses, but
choices.
Yeah, focal length.
Focal lengths.
Yeah, focal length, yeah.
So you can go 2X and get the full, because it's just going into the center of the sensor.
Because of the sensor and the megapixel size, they're able to bin, and also
exactly.
And the output is 24.
Right, so you get a 24. It's fantastic.
Which is cool. Like, yeah, it's a good way to do that without a third sensor. Yeah.
What do you think, Danny? I want to hear from you because I know you have opinions on cameras. Anyone who's watched Danny's channel, he's all about the cameras.
That's the thing that I was most excited about, for sure. Looking at that part of it, I think the iPhone 15 actually is a little bit underrated. At first, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, you know what? I think people are going to pass this by. But then I have to then switch my mode into an average consumer of what they would buy. And I think having Dynamic Island and having these pro features that we saw last year on the essential, just iPhone 15, you're just going to get that right off the bat. I wasn't thinking that way. And I'm thinking, well, you get a lot of pro features. You're getting updated cameras. And I know some people are like, oh, I don't like that it's got the older last generation processor. But it's like, the processor is already great.
Right.
Like, who cares about that?
Don't get me started on that crap.
At this
and we're
point,
getting started on it.
And I know some people will do that, but I think it was really interesting this year, though, where they definitely segmented the 15 Pro and the Pro Max with the zoom. I thought that was a little bit. It wasn't weird because I know they've done this in the past, but I was praising them for unifying the Pro lineup because the cameras were the same, and I was like, oh, this is great because people that want that smaller phone but that want that power, but now you have to get the Pro Max to get that 5x zoom.
Yes.
I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, it makes sense, like the reasoning that they gave, both
size, I think.
Yeah, it's the size. So basically, the module that they used would not fit into the smaller Pro. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that was not a periscope lens, right?
It is, yeah.
It is a periscope lens.
The way they do it is it's a different.
But it seems
type,
like it's not like it's a solid one. Like,
yeah, it's just the way that they're refracting light, different things. It's in a smaller package, and the thing I found like super geeked out about was that the stabilization is incredible. It's not just doing an XY; it's going on the axis too.
Yeah.
So it's like
that's
you're getting
really good.
You're getting all types of incredible stabilization on that. So that's where I'm looking forward to the most on that. Is photography is going to be great, but the 5x zoom video is what I'm looking forward to.
and that's the Pro, by the way. So let's stay on the main 15 first. Kevin was about to get mad about people hating on last year's processor.
Yeah, I don't like
talk to me.
Okay, so the thing is, like, what exactly are you doing on your phone where last year's processor is going to hinder you? Because that's the thing that bothers me, that, you know, people in the comments would say that. Because, you know, I make a video and they're like, oh, it has last year's processor. But what are you doing, though? Like, what exactly are you doing every day where you need the newest processor? If you want the newest processor, go with the Pro version of the phone. You know what I mean? Like, people make a fuss and they stare at these spec sheets all day long and compare phones on spec sheets. They just don't use the thing, right? I mean, I was just using CapCut on my phone just today, editing 4K 60 frames per second video. So smooth and so fast. Can you imagine doing that 5 years ago?
Oh, absolutely.
Can you imagine doing
Impossible.
that? It's just people get so ahead of themselves and they stare at these spec sheets and they don't understand what goes into upgrading things and upgrading processors and the price of parts and all those things. And it just makes me really upset that people will go to GSM Arena and just look at that all day and think they have the experience of using a product. And they'll argue you as someone who uses the product for a living and talks about it for a living. Sorry about the rant, guys.
No. Question, though.
No, but that's our audience only, not the general people.
Question.
No, for sure, yeah.
Were you ever that person?
No.
Never. You were never someone, even like 10 years ago. The specs is what matters.
Yo, I don't know, man.
I don't think I was ever that way, like 100%. Because I'm still all about experience. I'm all about using it. And then if I run into something that hinders me from continue to use it a certain way, then I'll look at that stuff. But I am I'm a person who, like, my mom would tell me that she can tell me anything she wants. She can say, this will hurt, this will make you bleed, or whatever. I have to do it myself. I've always been that way, and I'm still that way. Like, I need to use something to really understand it. So I can't just look at the back of the box and then have the full experience. That's never been me.
Okay.
Never been me.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So that was the camera. The other thing about the camera is if it sees a human, if it sees a dog, or if it sees a cat, it will automatically, without you having to do anything more, capture all of the depth data automatically.
Yeah, I believe it's also if you tap to focus on an object.
Yes. It will, but that's not automatic though. So the other option,
True.
if you tap on something, it would also capture it. But automatically, if there's a person, a dog, or a cat, it just captures it, whether you ask it to or not. And then using that data, you can later go in and take a look at the photo and change the focal point.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah, it's just, once again, another example of tech getting out of the way and just doing it in the background for you, right? Personally, it'll be nice to not have to go to portrait mode, and I can just snap photos of my kid or whatever, and then go back later and turn it into a portrait photo, or compare it. Like, you know what, as a portrait, I like it better when it's not portrait. I like to see the background more, whatever. So I'm all for that. And I was sort of thinking about it, like, people who use their cameras who are just like average consumers or what have you, they're not going into different modes and going into portrait and taking photos, but they have the ability now to take a photo. But then I was thinking that same person is not going back to edit that photo to make it a portrait picture too. So I wish there was a way that you take a photo, then you have 2 copies saved, one portrait, one regular, and then that person can decide which one they like. Swipe the one away you don't like type of thing.
No, you just select a photo in the Photos app, and you just tap on duplicate.
Yeah, or something like that.
No,
yeah.
they have it.
Oh,
That's what I'm saying. That's all you do. You tap on the 3 dots, and you just tap duplicate, and then it just copies.
Okay.
So you can, because I was saying like maybe you want both versions where you're in focus, and then you want you want both of them, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So you can just duplicate it and then edit. So that's nice. And then 24 megapixels by default now.
Sure.
Not 12 megapixel anymore.
And I think you can, if you go in the settings, I think you can pick.
Oh, you can pick, so you can still choose the 12 if you want to.
Yeah, I don't know why you would want, but I mean, I think you can.
Okay, interesting.
I saw that in the settings. There was a lot of stuff in the settings though too that weren't talked about. I don't know if you saw that. Like, I think for the pros, so you can shoot pro raw. They have log, SDR, HDR, and log, which is something that I wasn't expecting at all.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. And the focal length changes on the main camera. If you tap on the 1X, it'll go into, I think, 24 millimeter, 28 millimeter, and 35 millimeter, which is really cool. So just effective, like, I think it's 1.2, 1.5 afterwards. And
then you can select which one you want to be your default.
As your default, yeah.
Which is kind of neat if you like a certain focal length. I don't think this will be for everyone, which is kind of cool because it's kind of not hidden, but you have to kind of tap it.
Do you find, like, it's just in my head, it sounds like they're so subtle. 1, 1.2, 1.5, like, is there really much of a difference there?
I think it's just more for portrait photography.
Yeah, and
that you want to go into certain focal lengths.
And people buy lenses. People will buy a 28 millimeter lens and a 35 and a 24 millimeter lens. I have a 35 millimeter lens I just use for A-roll. Like, I just use that for one specific thing. It's an expensive lens I use for one specific thing. So I think for the pro model of camera, you're going to have people who are actually pros who want things like that. And a lot of people now, Danny can attest to this, are switching to using their cell phone a lot more for pro content, for content we post on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
And so, but this kind of leads me to a question. When are we getting a pro camera app that can really dial in shutter speed and things like that, like on the actual iPhone? Because when you go into Final Cut, you can actually access that information from Final Cut, and it imports to the Final Cut, but you just don't have a standalone app on your phone that allows you to do those certain things. And then the next question is, when are we getting like official Apple ND filters? I mean, let's take this camera thing to the next level. You know what I mean? Because I feel like we're right there. We have software, but let's get the hardware kind of getting there too. And that's. I feel like
that's like an actual ND, like a hardware ND filter,
or even just something that screws over
piece of hardware.
Yeah, piece of hardware, or even built in. That'd be amazing, like a built-in ND.
Don't put Moment out of business, guys.
No, I'm not trying to do that. But I feel like we're getting so close to it. Like we are right there where the iPhone can definitely be a B camera with no compromises. Like we are getting so close. Like we have microphones, we have everything ready to go. But it's just a couple of things, like a pro camera app. Like
let's start with the software first.
Yeah,
even just shutter speed.
Shutter speed, yeah, for sure.
Like auto, just doing white balance. I know you can lock the white balance now, but you don't have really any.
You have no control over it. Though. Yeah.
So
lock it.
I would love just to toggle, even if it's in the settings, you can just toggle it to a pro.
Yeah.
It'd be neat because then
there's apps though. There's apps that do this
for sure.
But if you're a pro, you can't afford a quick app.
No. It's not about affordability. It's about like full support, though. It's about having it native on the actual device, because Apple's going to have more access to that device than those apps would, right? Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Something that can really utilize all the lenses and utilizes all the features, because these apps now have to get updated to allow you to do 35 millimeter and just all these things. Like I would just want something. This is a pro device. Like let's go full in, because there's a lot of pro stuff they can do. You know, the whole, they're showing the quick shooting when they're shooting 48 megapixel RAW is going straight to the computer.
Right.
Like stuff like that. Shooting directly to a SSD, right? Those are very high end pro things, but then we don't have the software for video to really do pro video.
Yeah, that bridge is missing. I agree. I mean, we really need this, I think, but maybe we feel like we really need it because we do use it.
Right.
I mean, I find myself using the iPhone all the time to capture content, especially short form. I mean, there's nothing like just hand holding an iPhone and just getting that smooth footage, right? So,
of course.
I mean, yeah, I would love to see pro software as well.
Yeah, I would make a little bit of a counter argument that everything you said would be useful and make it better, but I forget who it was, but even last week, someone put out a whole music video that was all just shot on iPhone.
For sure.
And you just looked, you couldn't even tell.
For sure.
Right? So I think we're there. We're at a place where you can shoot your content on an iPhone, put it out to public, and you're no longer in the comments seeing people saying, "Dude, well, just shot on a smartphone because this looks terrible." Right? That's done. Those days are over, which is impressive.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Like it used to be, if you're going on a trip like this, or to see some content, you're taking a heavy camera, taking lenses, right? Taking your tripod, and these days, a lot of those trips that we go on now, you can get by with just an iPhone.
I mean, let's not lie. Sometimes, you just bring out the iPhone because the dynamic range is struggling on your camera, and then you just bring out the iPhone.
Sure.
You're like, dang, like this is right there. So yeah.
But my thing is, but why not though? Like,
I'm not arguing against it.
Yeah, but why not? Like, why not? Why not?
I like it.
And also, you don't know what compromises they made to make that music video, because sometimes you see someone that has. They have a phone with, and they have a rig around it, and they have things that they're making adjustments to do that.
Little moment lens on there.
Yeah, and that's super cool, and I'm down for it. But like software, like give us the pro editing software. Like let us dial in our settings. If you don't want to do the hardware, the ND, let us dial in the settings. Because
are you talking about editing software?
No. I mean camera software, like shutter speed and white balance and all those things, and ISO, right? I mean those are very very important things when making video. Yeah, and you want the video to look smooth, to not look like a cell phone, because to the trained eye, you can still tell when it's a cell phone, especially in a bright area, right? I mean, try to record a helicopter outside, right? You're going to see the thing, it's not going to move because the shutter speed is so high right now to compensate for that. There's a lot of different things that could be different. I'm not complaining though, because I love mixing in iPhone footage, and it's just like I'm getting excited about what's here, but I'm more excited about what's next.
What's to come?
Because we're almost there. Like we're so close to being there. That's the point I'm getting at.
Okay. Speaking of that, good transition. We were so close, and it's finally here. USB-C.
Yes.
Got a USB-C port.
Sure.
Do you care? Are you happy?
Very.
What do you feel about this?
I'm very happy. One less cable I have to bring when I go places, and just one cable to charge all my things in my life. I mean,
you got AirPods Max though.
Okay, that's one thing, but I'm sure it's going to get updated with the AirPod Max too. Whatever. But it's just like I charge my MacBook with USB-C.
Yeah. And
then just like I can now just have my backpack of USB-C cables, right? Like that can now be my backpack instead of having that. Like, okay, let me grab a couple lightning. It's just I just like things to be simple and things to be easy, and one plug that can do all your Apple stuff that will eventually happen. I think that's amazing, and I'm all for it. And also, USB-C cables are pretty cheap, and I have like 500 of them because you buy something and it comes with one, and I don't have to like scramble and find the lightning cable. So I'm very happy.
Are you though? I hear this argument on Twitter all the time. I'm always like, "Are you though?"
Am I what though?
Like people like, I have to carry two cables. Like really, I have to carry two. Two cables. Like really?
Yeah.
What, two?
Yeah.
It's not heavy.
No,
leave it in your bag. It's not hard to find. It's not heavy.
It's not about two. You see my little travel case. I have a travel case.
It's nice.
I appreciate it, but I have 3 USB-C cables and then 3 lightning cables, and for some reason, lightning cable always goes missing because I end up plugging it somewhere or plugging it in my car. I just want to have all of one cable, and I'll be happy. It just why
so
not?
For you, it's about the port. I just want to have the one cable for this port.
I'm about simplicity. Make my life simple, please. That's it. And just one cable, one port, I'm fine. I know there's like faster data transfer speeds.
MagSafe? You don't care about MagSafe?
I do care about MagSafe. MagSafe is fine.
MagSafe it up.
And I have MagSafe at home, but most of the time I don't carry a MagSafe puck with me, right? I carry a charging cable and a brick to plug it into. And I can plug my phone into it, I can plug my laptop into it, I can plug my freaking gaming Asus ROG into it. I can plug whatever I want into it, and I don't have to worry about like, let me make sure I got one for my phone too. I don't have to do that.
Okay, Danny, where are you thinking on this? Where'd you fall on this?
It was about time. We needed it big time, and I think it's just going to make, even for the average consumer, I think it's going to make things easier. Now, the transition is going to be a little tough.
Yeah.
I can definitely attest to that lightning cable disappearing. I don't know, man. I think there's like a little noise that runs around because I swear I've gone through at least 50 of those cables.
Exactly.
I don't know what happened. But I think, it's definitely needed. And the only thing I would say is what I would like to have seen is maybe some fast charging that came with this. Because I feel like that was a good transition into USB-C, at least on the Pro models, right? Because there's a controller there. And I thought maybe that would enable a little bit faster charging. I don't know how you feel about fast charging or not, but it does take a little while to charge the iPhone in comparison to some of the other stuff that's out there. So I would like to see that.
Did they not, so the charging did not change at all?
I don't think so.
No, I looked up the specs online for my video. It's the exact same speeds.
That was kind of surprising to me because honestly, I thought they would step into the fast charging thing with this one and say, okay, well, the Pro models will get quick charge.
Right, right.
We'll wait till next year. Hey, there's always next year.
There's always next year.
That's true.
Gotta have something for next year.
iPhone 15 is locked at USB 2 speeds.
Yeah.
USB 2 is, I believe, 17 years old.
It's the same speed as what the Lightning is, right?
USB 3 is 14 years old, and we got USB 2 on the. So, thoughts? I mean, most people obviously are not plugging in to transfer data, right? Yeah. And I would assume the people who do want to plug into transfer data are likely using Pro phones anyway, and they're getting 10 gigabits USB 3 speeds.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was funny. Like,
I'm surprised.
Changing the port, but we're keeping it USB 2 speeds.
It seemed like it would be easier from a perspective of supply chain and things like that to just have one port. But I guess, it's probably about cost. Honestly.
Yeah, maybe. So USB 3 speeds, though, on the Pro phone. Mm-hmm. And what was interesting there is A17 Pro.
Yes.
A17 Pro, right? Which to me means we're getting 2 lines of mobile chips now. Next year, the iPhone 16 is not going to get an A17 Pro chip because that would give it USB 3 speeds because that's where the controller is. Uh-huh. So we're going to see an A17 non-Pro and an A18 Pro next year. They didn't tell me this, of course. I'm speculating here. There's a Pro chip now and a non-Pro chip. Much, much faster, much more enhanced GPU.
And it's 3 nanometers now.
3 nanometers. But that GPU update is crazy. Mm-hmm. I got to see some Resident Evil Village up close, and I was just like, blown away.
This is absolutely exciting for what the gaming market has been like. Mm-hmm. Because it's kind of like you think about mobile gaming and it's all the pay to play, like, that kind of stuff. The stuff that my kids are into.
Yes.
That kind of stuff. But now if you bring in console level games, I'm not sure what kind of magic Apple wizardry they're going to be doing with the, the metal stuff and everything else. But it's just, this is very exciting for the market because for you to be able to play console level stuff on your iPhone and it actually be the console version that's awesome.
Yeah. And I confirm, I was like, listen, Resident Evil, is anything about this like mobile optimized, mobile assets? And they were like, no, this is the same assets you would get on a console or a desktop. Same.
Yeah.
There's no difference here, and you can see it running right here on the phone.
I'm assuming they're doing 720p upscaling or some kind of magic to make that happen.
That didn't say. I know there's metal effects happening there, but, when you use metal on an M2, not even an M2 Pro, you can get almost to max settings if you're playing a game on like a MacBook Air, which kind of makes me excited to see because all the M series chips are based on the A series chips, right?
Yeah.
So that means we're going to see these GPUs in future MacBooks, Mac Studio, whatever it might be. Essentially, Apple's been trying to talk about gaming at their last few events, right? But people consumers are always just kind of looking at it like, what are you talking about? I can't game on a Mac.
I can talk to Mac gaming for a while because I was actually working on a video about trying to game on a Mac because I'm a big gamer. I still game as much as I can. I love gaming, right? So the hardware for gaming on a Mac is great, but the thing is these games have to be optimized in such a way that developers would have to do this. Mm-hmm. And the problem is not that many developers they're still not doing it because it's the whole the chicken or the egg type of thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like a developer's like, I'm not spending time and resources developing a game for such little amount of people,
which makes sense.
And these little amount of people is like, I want more games. So it's this whole thing like someone has to break, right?
Yeah.
There has to be a slew of developers saying, all right, we're going to do it. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, like, they use Resident Evil Village as an example all the time. We talked about this. They use them as an example all the time because it's the perfectly optimized game. They followed all the proper protocols and it scales great. MacBook Air, you could play it. It works great. Put on a MacBook Pro. it looks amazing. Put it on a Mac Studio, the game will blow you away. One of the best looking games. HDR is like everything about it's crazy. So that's why it works so well on mobile. But the thing is, without those developers, you're not going to really utilize that Apple gaming on the phone as we're seeing in these demos, though.
Yeah.
Now, I could be wrong. There could be a whole slew of developers ready to go. But from my experience, the last year and a half trying to game on a Mac, I ran into that where it's just there's a big wiki, too, that explains like perfectly optimized games. And it's such a small percentage of games that works for Mac versus perfectly optimized where you have a perfect experience depending on the hardware that you have. So it's just one of those things that it's a struggle.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a struggle trying to get developers on board to do this when they only have, a small fraction of gamers who are not buying a MacBook Pro to game on, right? They're not buying that, or they're going Xbox or whatever, or they have a gaming PC. So that's my concern. I love the hardware. I love what it can do. I'm excited about the games, but I don't think there's going to be a ton of games that will really utilize that will blow you away.
Well, what's interesting here, I think, is you mentioned like the Mac and the gaming community on a Mac is so small, right?
Yeah.
Which makes sense. If these games are going to come to the iPhone, which has a huge user base, right? Mm-hmm. And then can go up from the iPhone instead. So they talked about the next Assassin's Creed. It's not even out yet.
Yeah.
It's going to be there, again, full console assets. It's not a mobile version at all.
So my understanding was that Assassin's Creed was one that came out a couple years ago.
No.
I think it was the original Assassin's Creed.
So, my understanding was this is an older Assassin's Creed that was a console version that's coming to mobile. No?
It is the next Assassin's Creed that's not even out yet.
Okay.
It's not even on console yet.
All right, I misunderstood.
So that next Assassin's Creed that's not out yet will also be coming to the iPhone.
The exact game.
The
same
right.
game.
Which means it's going to run on Apple Silicon Macs because it's running on the iPhone.
Right. This is the motivation for developers.
Yes. So now the motivation is if you can do it for the iPhone, then you can just put it on. Now it's ready for the Mac, right? Very, very little changes need to be made.
Okay.
And that could be what actually is the impetus to seeing more of these games come to the Mac.
I hope so.
Maybe.
I hope so because I have a gaming PC right now that I use, and I would love to just have one piece of computer hardware and do all my work and gaming on one spot. But I have a gaming PC that I just use for like 2 games.
What games you playing? Halo?
I'm not playing Halo with Uni.
What?
I'm playing Warzone.
Okay.
Playing a lot of Warzone. I'm playing a little Starfield right now.
Ah, you got into it.
A little bit.
You got into it.
I'm running around space. I don't know what's happening. I forget a lot, but I'm running around.
Okay.
It's okay. It's not bad.
Danny, you get into Starfield at all?
No.
Come on, man.
No, I can't, man.
Don't do it, Danny.
I just can't.
Oh,
I can't get into
you got to.
Don't do it, Danny.
I got to keep my gaming to a very small, minimal level.
I remember you used to come to play Call of Duty with us, and you end up just chatting for 3 hours.
I can't get into
like you never got in the game. You just would chat with us.
Yeah,
like Danny, this is not Warzone chat. This is not Warzone therapy, bro.
It's like, get on here, man.
We got to get some dubs.
What's your gaming, Danny? What's your gaming looking like?
Gaming is just very limited for me, man. So I try out some of the newer stuff that comes out, just testing some hardware and stuff like that. So, I mean, I try to play a little bit of Baldur's Gate 3. But, once I'm in a game for like 3 hours and then I'm realizing, man, there's like kids running around and doing all this stuff. I'm like, man, I got to get off this and go and, edit some video or something. So it's just like I love it because I feel like it is therapeutic, though.
Yeah.
It is like you can kind of like escape and do that, but it's like it does take up a lot of timing, especially if you want to get good or if you want to actually do things with it. So I try to limit that just because.
I got you. I hear you.
The problem is Drew wants to play the same. Well, I'm doing the same thing. Drew wants to play Halo. No one's playing Halo anymore, so I feel like
playing Halo Infinite.
All right, fine. Let me get on Halo with Drew.
Come on, man.
Let me get on Halo with Drew. I don't.
Fortnite, little Fortnite.
Nah.
Nope.
No.
She got me on Fortnite every night. Fortnite all the time. Before we get back, Starfield.
Yeah.
How many hours have you been playing?
I've put in probably not a ton of time. Maybe 4.5 hours.
Okay.
4.5 hours in a week or 2 weeks.
Decent.
I mean, but the first 2 hours you're going through tutorials, so you don't have a lot of choice. I'm like designing my character like I'm playing The Sims again, and like making myself like being very specific.
You look like you though.
I was working on it. I had a picture of myself taped to my monitor, like really trying to. I'm not joking,
bro. No. I was on my couch and I was taking selfies of myself from the side.
Yeah,
and I was like, okay, let me see what kind of nose do I got. I was trying to.
I'm like,
what are you guys doing?
I'm like a 10 nose. I'm like 10 nose 10.
Well, Starfield though. You literally like when you hit 15 hours, it's like a totally different game.
Okay, I'm looking forward
Like,
to
it's
that.
crazy. It's weird.
Yeah.
Like, because you think you're, okay, I got it, 10 hours in, and then 15 hours in, it's like, wait a minute.
That's already putting me off, man. 15 hours.
Oh, it's fun, though.
Come on.
Oh, okay. Let's close this out with iPhone 15 Pro. So let's talk about camera. We talked about it a little bit already. But let's talk about camera and then action button.
Action button, yeah.
Action button.
Sure.
Start with camera. I want to hear you guys' take on this camera.
Yeah. One thing they mentioned that they kind of glossed over was that the lenses has different coating on it,
Yes.
so it doesn't affect like lens flare. Because remember a couple years ago,
That
they
green-
used to little green
blob.
dots.
What
the green
the heck
dots.
was that?
So I'm down to try out less lens flare because when you used to go to ultra wide, any type of sun would like dart in the shot from the top. You know what I'm talking about? Would dart
Yep.
to the top from the top
And the
corner.
reflections, too.
Yeah. So hopefully, they've listened to reviews and they changed the coding, which should be a lot better. I'm excited about that. 5x zoom I like because there's been situations where I wanted more zoom. Like I went to the zoo recently and doing more stuff with my kid and all that stuff. And like when I have my phone out, he sees I have my phone out.
Yep.
And getting him in different activities and stuff. And then when I have my phone out, he sees it. So it's been able to snap a photo a little further away and just
Yep.
doing more things and just having more flexibility in my pocket is kind of what I want. And also video gets better. I mean, I love video already. We talked about it already, but just having that stabilization that's a lot better is something I'm looking forward to with the camera. So I'm very happy about it. And also portrait mode. They talked about skin tones and things like that. So I'm excited to really dig into the portrait mode because I think a lot of the competition has caught up when it comes to portrait pictures. So
Yeah.
I'm ready to see what like iPhone's response to the competition catching up, in my opinion.
Danny.
Yeah. Yeah, the cameras, man, I'm always looking forward to that. I think it just pretty much doubling up what he said with the cameras. It's just I still find it a little hard that it's not on the Pro model, the 5x zoom, but
Right.
yeah, I think that the portrait mode is really cool, or the just not even thinking about it. I just think about my wife when she takes pictures. She's not gonna like swap into
Yeah.
portrait mode. So I love the fact that now you can take all those shots and you can just change it to portrait
Yep.
mode later. I would really love to see that come to video one day, where you just shoot the video, and then if you want it to be cinematic mode, you can just flip a switch. That would be super
That would
tight.
be very nice.
That would be
very
incredible.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that would be really cool. But I mean, hey, baby steps. But yeah, I think I can't wait to test the cameras, man. That's the biggest thing. I want to see how much better it is than the last generation, because I think that's when you can really get the picture.
Yeah.
Of how many improvements are actually being made.
Right. And especially, I mean, most people are upgrading every year. So how much better is it than the iPhone 12 or 13 as well,
that's
right?
true.
Because that'll be a really nice upgrade for a lot of people. Let's close it out with the action button. That was actually my favorite thing that I saw.
Was it?
Because for me, it feels like that is something that like people talk about all the time. Android customization, right? Like,
Yeah.
I want to make this phone mine, and this is a hardware button that lets you make it yours, right? Not just through whether you want to keep it as a mute switch or having it open your camera, and you have like sub menus as well. Like you might want it to open selfie camera, and I might want it to open the video camera, right? And
Yeah.
we could both do that. But then you got shortcuts in there.
I think that's the big one.
That's
Shortcuts.
huge.
That opens the door, right? That opens the door. I'm wondering, depending on your focus mode, can you change the action button to do different things? Like, let's say I have a focus mode called, at home, or I have one called at work or playing golf, and each focus mode does different. I mean, each action button does different when you're in different focus mode.
You cannot do that. You can only use it to turn on or off that focus. But within that focus, you can say, here's what I want my focus to be.
Yeah.
So, for example, one thing you could do is, like, when I'm in this focus mode, I want my phone muted.
No, for sure.
But now
yeah.
you don't need a mute switch.
No,
because
I agree. Yeah.
Software mute.
I agree.
But it can't do that. But one area where it does is if you use it as your camera opener, then it acts as a shutter button.
Shutter button, yeah.
But only
cool.
if it's for your camera.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if you use it to mute and then you're in camera, you're going to just be unmuting your phone, right?
I agree. Yeah.
So,
I think this is just the beginning of it. I'm sure it's going to expand a little bit later.
last question: What are you setting your action button to?
I don't know yet. I was thinking about that. Probably flashlight. I use the flashlight a ton. I use the flashlight a lot.
That's like a senior citizen.
That is
I
the
know,
last thing I
'Cause
expected you to say.
It's on the lock screen. It's right there.
But the phone's not locked. I mean, I drop stuff a lot. And also, like, restaurant menus, man, they're so difficult at the freaking...
They got a magnifier. Magnifier's an option for you.
I don't need the magnifier.
Just blow it up.
Dude,
That's why he needs a zoom.
I'm at Cheesecake Factory struggling, man. Just like...
5x zoom into that menu.
Danny, what are you doing? Shortcutting?
I think I'm going to do some shortcuts. Probably some smart home
Smart home?
type stuff. Yeah, I think it'll be neat for that. Even just car stuff would be cool too as well.
That's true. Oh yeah, because you can tie it into your Tesla.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. I'm thinking I'm going to primarily use it as the camera opener. But you just gave me I want to see
flashlight.
No.
Oh, okay.
If I'm in the home focus, can it be a smart home button?
That's
and
what
if
I'm
in
saying.
a work focus, can it? That's kind of interesting. So we got to find out about that.
That's what I'm talking about.
But yeah, guys, thanks for joining me this week.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Special here from Apple Park. Let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me pretty much anywhere Tech Ninja speaks or on YouTube, Kevin the Tech Ninja. Mm-hmm. And also, by the way, I have to say that I am matching this couch with my.
You are.
My jacket is matching the couch.
Perfectly.
So thank you.
In. Love it. Yeah, just Danny Winget at Super Scientific everywhere.
Right. If you want to know about these cameras on these phones, just check Danny on YouTube.
Appreciate it. Kevin does something too, though. Don't dismiss
He does. No disrespect, but we know. We know Danny's bread and butter.
It's all right.